Taylor. I was stressed out about this, like really stressed out. No. Fine. It worked, it worked, it worked, it worked! Sorry.
¿Qué onda?
I'm trying to live stream my defense, and it was not working. And it was stressing me out.
Bacán.
Okay, hold on. I can't say hi to people right now. I have to send this link, okay? Just 1 second. Hola, Nestor. Guys, please go ahead and grab food. Peter. And then you guys should come down here. I'm doing well. How are you? Sorry, I'm trying to set up a live stream so that my people will get to watch it. And it was not working. And it was really stressing me out. So you feel better now. Hola a todos, los quiero, disfruten. Gracias. Espero que no se caigan. Thank you. I like your headband. It's really cool. I promise I don't bite, so you guys can sit in the front row. Oh, tell her that. I wish I had a pass. No, I have to because we have to get marks on Thursdays. You know, for the Thursday training. means that more injections have to be at 30 before they can reach like a finish and like there's only a minute. So I didn't mind the thing yesterday. I ate it. She was like, "Why are you doing it?" Little thing called I think we had a one big break on that. I feel like I like how you guys both sat next to each other. Hi everybody, thank you for watching. Gracias, los quiero. I can tell the food is good because all of you are really quiet. Okay, sorry. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming to Honest Defense. This is by far the most number of people I've ever had to speak to event. And even most amount of group that we've had. You have to thank my dad for that one. So Anna started her PhD a little over 5 years ago, right? And I don't really do like big sappy things, so I'm not going to do that, but I think it's really telling what her community members always communicate to you that it's the best thesis she's ever read. And I'm really proud of everything that she's accomplished. I'm getting really sad and she's thank you to Kristen for the kind introduction. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Sorry that it's a little bit dark, the lighting in this room is a little strange. So we need to make it darker so that you can see my histology a little bit better. And welcome and good afternoon. It is really nice to see so many friendly faces in the audience. And I'm very excited to tell you about all the work I've been doing over the past 5.5 years. And so in these years, I've been studying the aortic valve. And so the aortic valve consists of 3 leaflets or cusps that open and close to control the flow of blood from the left ventricle to the aorta and from the node to the rest of the renal valve. We specifically in our lab study calcific aortic valve disease, which from now on I'll just refer to as CAVD. And in this disease, what happens is first the aortic valve becomes sclerotic, meaning thickness, without impairment of function. And eventually, in some cases, we get the deposition of minerals in these valves leading to calcification, and the valve can no longer open and close normally. And in these cases, the patient needs a surgical valve replacement. In the United States, about 25% of people over 65, and so if you think about it, that's a lot of people. That's 1 in every 4 people over 65 experience aortic valve sclerosis. And 2.8% of people over 75 exhibit symptoms of aortic valve stenosis. And this eventually leads to over 100,000 valve replacement surgeries performed every year in the United States. As you can imagine, right now we're experiencing an aging of the population, so these numbers are only projected to increase in the developed world. People used to think this disease was a degenerative process, and what that means is that people thought that this was simply a result of aging. However, research over the past couple of decades has indicated that this is actually an active classification process. However, there is currently no approved pharmacological method to prevent, reverse, slow down, or stop the progression of calcification. And part of the reason why this is because so we know many of the features and hallmarks of this disease, some of which I have listed here. And we know this mainly from a histological examination of explanted human specimens. And we know that all of these, or some combination of these, eventually lead to calcification. However, we don't really understand very well how they relate to each other, the order in which they occur, or anything like that. So although the hallmarks of this disease are well characterized, the sequence and mechanisms that govern it remain poorly understood. And part of the reason why this is due to the limitations of existing models. So right now, it is difficult to obtain human specimens at stages other than endpoint, and you can imagine why that is, right? It is really hard to tell a human being with a fully functional valve donated for science. So it's really limited to autopsy samples. Similarly, the currently available animal models have been unsuccessful at mimicking the human disease, and this is particularly true for large animal models. Moreover, existing in vitro models, amongst other reasons, do not capture the features of the main cellular matrix of the behavioral valve, usually only include one disease stimulus, and so far they've been mostly proof of concept descriptive studies. And so what I mean by that, for those in the room that work in tissue engineering and biomaterials labs, is that you might grow valve cells into one new material, and then you're like, oh, the cells survived in the brain. But we haven't really been using these to address more hypothesis-driven questions. And so, to address some of those limitations, in the earlier couple of years of my PhD, I examined in collaboration with Peter and the who are in my committee, a Reichardt's familial hypercholesterolemia swine model that was developed here at UW-Madison to study atherosclerosis. And we selected this model because in over 50% of humans who have familial hypercholesterolemia develop CAD by age 20. So that's a lot younger than the general population. So these pigs have a mutation in the low-density lipoprotein receptor and other lipoproteins that lead to high circulating levels of LDL and cholesterol, which in turn, like I said before, lead to the development of complex atherosclerosis. So originally we hypothesized that because this was the case, perhaps it would also develop advanced calcific aortic valve disease. And I guess spoiler alert, it turns out that they only develop early valve disease. And I'm going to go through the results of this study fairly quickly because many of you were at my brilliant, and this was covered extensively, 2.5 years ago. But if you're curious about it, feel free to ask me more questions at the end of the talk. And so, one of the things that we saw, which you're seeing here, is low spectrum staining for the extracellular matrix protein present in the leaflet. So in the left, in the juvenile hematopoiesis, you see a very distinct deposition of specific proteins in each layer of the valve. So collagen is depicted yellow, glycosaminoglycans and polyglycans are stained blue, and elastin is stained purple. And so what you see is that as the animal ages, we saw extensive disarray of this extracellular matrix, including elastin fragmentation, disorganized collagen deposition, and perhaps most strikingly, and you can see this fairly easily with the naked eye, we see a huge increase in the amount of blue staining, meaning glycosaminoglycan and rhodoglycan in the gene. Along with those features, we also saw some of the other hallmarks of early valve disease. And so, for example, you're seeing here histological staining for malondialdehyde, which is one of the main products of lipid peroxidation in the human body. So, in case you're not used to seeing histological stains, anything that's stained brown means it's an area of positive staining, and the darker the color usually means there's a higher concentration of that molecule in that area of the tissue. And on the left, you're seeing just quantification of the percent of the leaflet that's staining positive for this molecule. So we see that as the animal ages, even as early as 1 year old, we see an increase in the content of malondialdehyde in these tissues. We also stained for monocyclic contractile protein 1, which is an inflammatory cytokine that in other tissues we know is responsible for recruiting monocytes and macrophages. And similarly, again, this is histological staining and quantification of that staining, and we see also an increase. However, we only see an increase for the 2-year-old and not the 1-year-old animals. So we saw, to just wrap this up real quick, increased levels of lipid oxidation / deposition and inflammatory cytokines in these early disease RFH leaflets. And so to put this in the context of what we were talking about before, we once again, we saw GAG enrichment, and at the same time, we also saw lipoproteins in our leaflets, and both of these things appear to precede inflammation. So this is already more information than what we already had. However, the animal model, particularly because we limited to very long time points and also to mostly histological analysis of these samples, did not tell us a lot of mechanistic information. So for example, we do not know from this study whether it is GAG enrichment or the lipoproteins that lead to an increase in inflammation. We also don't know whether there are any interactions between these two early features. Similarly, we also don't have any information regarding the links between these early hallmarks and some of the other features of the disease. And we believe in our lab, in general, not just for my project, but that many disease tests cannot be sequenced without improved CABD models. And as a result, the objective for the rest of my work, for my doctoral work, has been to create future models of early valvular disease and use these models to characterize the cascade of events involved in early valvular dysfunction. And for this objective, I approached the design of these in vitro disease systems from two different perspectives, a top-down and a bottom-up approach. And the goal for both of these is to generate environments that recapitulate the features of the ECM observed in the RFH model. And so for the top-down approach, which I'll tell you about towards the end of my presentation, I use gene delivery techniques, and the bottom-up approach uses more of a traditional biomaterials / tissue engineering strategy. And the overall hypothesis driving all of this work is that GAG enrichment plays a critical role in regulating other CABD events. And so now let's take a look at the bottom-up approach. So as I mentioned earlier, this is more of a traditional tissue engineering approach, and for the tissue engineers in the room, and even for those who aren't, this usually means that you have a cellular component and a material component. And so a cellular component are primary porcine valve interstitial cells. So in our lab, we regularly drive out to nucleus to our local culture, and we get parts, and we directly isolate cells from these big parts in our lab. And so I just made it sound fairly easy, but it wasn't quite that easy. And that is because in the normal healthy aortic valve, most of the cells, the valve interstitial cells that populate it, are usually quiescent. What I mean by that is they usually don't proliferate, they're not really making extracellular matrix, they're not expressing any markers of myofibroblastic cells, and I like to think of them as being kind of in a holding pattern, just waiting to see what's going to happen next. And so what you're seeing right now is staining in leaflets and mostly, so that's the name of the culture working at our parts. And so it's a normal healthy pig, and you're not seeing anything exciting because I stain for alpha smell, we should be seeing red. And what you're not seeing is you're not seeing any staining for alpha smell, meaning these cells do not express myofibroblastic markers. So what I'm trying to show you here is that over 95% of the cells in a normal healthy leaf that are usually quiescent. Once a leaf that experiences an injury or some sort of abnormal stress, these cells become activated and become myofibroblastic. So this means they start proliferating, they start secreting a lot of extracellular matrix proteins, and they also express markers of myofibroblasts like alpha SMA and SN22. Now something curious happens when you isolate cells from a healthy leaf and do what everybody else does. So when you just culture them in standard tube culture and tissue culture for styrene. So these are stainings 4 days after isolation, and what you see is that we went from over 95% of the cells being quiescent to pretty much 100% of the cells being activated. And so the inability to preserve a healthy phenotype during in vitro studies has really hampered the elucidation of the mechanisms involved in CABD. And I was particularly interested in figuring out a way to revert these cells back into a healthy phenotype, especially because I am so interested in the early stages of the disease. And so in collaboration with some people at the Imperial College in London and the Eindhoven University of Technology in the Netherlands, we have developed an approach to generate quiescent bigs. And so what we do is we take our bigs that are grown in standard culture, so what we call a bigs on TCPS, and they're usually fed with female and supplemented with 10% FBS. And what we do is we throw that on TCPS that's coated with collagen, and we switch the media to what we call the FIG formulation, and that consists of TMAN supplemented with 2% FBS, based on fibroblast growth factor and insulin. And after some time, they become quiescent. you don't have to believe me, I can show you the data. So this is quantification via PCR, so the gene expression levels for two myofibroblastic markers. So ACA2 is the gene that encodes for alpha-SMA, and SN22 is the gene that encodes for SN22, which is another myofibroblastic protein. And what you see is that for both the FIB and FIB cases, we see a dramatic increase as early as day 4 that is sustained even 14 days later. And on the right, you're seeing staining that was provided by a colleague in the Netherlands, and this staining really tells you that in a very visual way. We're pretty much, this is staining at day 9. You see that by day 9, these cells are really no longer expressing the myofibroblastic markers. We also analyzed other markers of differentiation, and so we looked at proliferation, for example, and we saw again both FIB and FIB-col decrease the amount of proliferation in these cells. However, FIB-col did so at a greater level than FIB alone. And similarly, when we looked at extracellular matrix production, so this is PCR for COL1A1, that's the gene that encodes for collagen type 1, the most abundant collagen in these leaflets. We see a decrease in both cases, but again, we see a decrease faster in FIB-col and to a greater magnitude. And so overall, we identified that culturing FIB-col reduced several markers of cell activation and is capable of generating biosimilars that I think more accurately mimic and healthy FIB-col. Okay, so now that we have our cell source, then we looked at our materials, and I'll tell you a little bit more about our materials in a second. But they basically consist of an independent network of gelatin combined with hyaluronic acid or chondroitin sulfate, and HA and CS are the two most abundant gas, glycocellular glycans, and they are liquids. And so what we do is we take our background polymer, so to speak, is methylated gelatin, or GELMA, as we like to call it in the lab, and this is mixed with gas, so again, either HA or CS, mixed at either the ratio that matches the ratio of gas to collagen present in a liquid, or 4 times that amount. So the idea is that then these two concentrations would mimic a healthy and a diseased BCM. So take this solution, put it on periferical surface, use a sandwich system with a glass cover slip, polymerize it with UV light, and then peel it off to generate very thin hydrogels that can serve as cell culture substrates. Okay, so just to remind you guys, this is where we're at with the animal model, and what we're trying to do with the bottom-up model is to provide a lot of that mechanistic detail that we couldn't get just with the hard-cage model. And so the first question we had, or the first thing we wanted to identify was what exactly was driving the inflammation that we saw forward. And so can that enrichment directly increase inflammation? And so we took our two environments, the healthy and the diseased environment, and culture mixed them up for 72 hours. And what we found multiple inflammatory markers, and these are just two of them, interleukin 6 and interleukin 8, is that GAGs are either an inhibitory or just no effect on the synthesis of the extended inflammatory cytokines. So this doesn't seem to be the reason. Then we know from research by other people, as well as from research in our own lab, that ECM proteins can also have the ability to modulate the phenotype. And so we were also curious to see what this culturing the substrates was doing to the cells, whether the substrates were enough to activate the cells. And so what we saw when we analyzed proliferation, we got a little excited because we said, oh look, our HA-enriched surfaces to proliferate more than the healthy HA substrates, and in the presence of any chondroitin sulfate, these cells proliferate more. However, when we analyzed apoptosis and alpha-SMA expression at the gene level, we saw either an inhibitory or no effect. And so we think this means that the activation of this in our system will not lead to an increase in big activation. So then the next natural question was to ask whether lipoproteins were then the feature that was responsible for the increased inflammation. And so we took a similar setup. This time around, we cultured our cells on substrates that contain only GELMA in the absence of gas, and we exposed them to LDL or oxidized LDL for 48 hours. And what we saw was that there were no differences in IL-6 and IL-8 production for the unmodified LDL, but the oxidized LDL was indeed capable of driving and increasing the production of these cytokines. And so we believe these hints that lipoproteins, yes, playing a role in the inflammation cascade. With a small caveat that we now believe it is specifically oxidized lipoproteins that are playing a role in the disease cascade. The next question, we were also curious to see then if ox-LDL was so effective at increasing the production of inflammatory cytokines, whether it could also drive peak activation. And what we saw was the answer to that question is yes. We saw an increase in proliferation, apoptosis, and alpha-SMA gene expression as a result of oxidized LDL. So this also appears to be a step in the disease cascade. Next, we were very confused because then we were wondering, okay, so if GAGs are not doing any of the things, if like needed remembers, our original hypothesis way back 2 years ago was that GAG enrichment was capable of driving big dysfunction alone. And it took us a long time, over a year, to find out that our hypothesis was just wrong, and we were just asking the wrong questions. And so then we started to wonder, okay, so what could GAGs potentially be actually doing? So we took some inspiration from the field of atherosclerosis, where we know that HA can bind oxidized LDL, and then make it available to inflammatory cells as mucosal cells. And so what we did is we took our substrates and fluorescently labeled LDL and oxidized LDL. After 48 hours, we washed away all of the LDL and oxidized LDL that was not bound, and we measured the fluorescence. And so what we saw in the case of LDL is we saw a significant increase in the deposition of this molecule, this micromolecule, I should say, in those surfaces that were enriched for each GAG, with CS depositing more, leading to more LDL deposition than HA. In the case of ox-LDL, it seemed that ox-LDL was really sticky for those surfaces that contain protein sulfate, and again, this effect was enhanced when we had a GAG-enriched surface. And so then, our next natural hypothesis was then to wonder, okay, so then does that mean that when you have GAG enrichment, you have more deposited lipids, and then because there are more lipids, then that can have an effect on the cells? And so to test that, we took the same setup as I just described. So we took our two surfaces, exposed them, pre-treated them with LDL and oxidized LDL for 48 hours, washed everything that was not bound, and then culture cells went off. And so what that means is that only LDL or ox-LDL that the cells are seeing, as you're seeing, are the lipids that were already entrapped in these matrix. So within this setup, we analyzed the production of IL-6 and IL-8, and we saw that in the case of IL-6, we only saw an effect for ox-LDL in those surfaces that were GAG-enriched. And for IL-8, we really only saw an effect with oxidized LDL pre-treated CS-enriched cells. And so this is getting a little bit messy. So to summarize this part in, never mind. I forgot one more. And so then, because GAG-enrichment did lead to oxidized LDL, but if you remember in our animal model, the ECM, the GAG enrichment in CMV rate also increased over time. Then we were also wondering whether this relationship was perhaps reciprocal. And so that is, yes, different proteins also lead to an increase in GAG enrichment. So this is a similar setup as what I described earlier, just cells on GELMA substrates exposed to LDL or oxidized LDL. And we saw first an increase at the gene level of protein sulfate synthase 1. So this is one of the enzymes responsible for protein sulfate synthesis. We also saw an increase in the expression of hyaluronic acid synthase 3. This is one of the 3 enzymes responsible for hyaluronic acid synthesis. And moreover, this then translated into an overproduction of the HA molecule. And so overall, to summarize this part of the talk, what we now think is happening is that in a healthy CM, that somehow becomes GAG-enriched. And I don't think this work tells us exactly all the reasons and all the ways in which the ACCM becomes GAG-enriched, but we know that once this GAG-enriched CM is exposed to oxidized LDL, it gets deposited in this matrix, and the ox-LDL can then induce myofibroblast activation and an increase in the production of inflammatory cytokines. Moreover, the ox-LDL that is deposited and then signals to the cells to produce even more gas, and what we think eventually develops a positive feedback loop. So the bottom-up approach was really nice because we could ask a lot of really targeted questions in a very controlled environment in a relatively high throughput manner. However, it clearly does not capture the entire complexity of an inhibitory pathway. And this is why we turn to our top-down perspective. And so in the BAF community, we have a pretty big advantage that I don't think we've used as much in the past. And so that is the leaflets are really, really thin. They're usually under half a micron. 500 microns, sorry, 500 microns. And so what that means is that you can culture these leaflets in the lab, even in the absence of a bioreactor, just in your standard tissue culture plate. and the cells can survive, they will die, the leaflets will stay alive. And so in the past, a lot of people have used this technique to study the mechanics of leaflets, and but not as much to manipulate the ECM composition of leaflets. Within our lab, we have done studies where we deplete the ECM of specific components. So for example, if you wanted less collagen in your leaflets, you could treat them with, say, collagenase. However, this method is very coarse and non-specific, and additionally, it was pretty clear from that RFH experiment that bowel disease tends to be, at least in terms of the PCF, tends to be a disease of excess and not of absence. And so we were looking for a way to enrich these leaflets in gas. And so what I arrived at after, this is probably the project that took the longest to get on the ground, so it was pretty ambitious, was the gene delivery of hyaluronic acid synthase. And you may be wondering why I'm targeting the synthase and not the HA itself. So for those of you who may not be familiar with this program, GAGs are polysaccharides, they're not proteins, so they're not directly encoded for your DNA. And so what I do is, again, we drive out to the butcher every Thursday, and we get our hearts, isolate the leaflets, treat them so that they fit inside a 96-well plate. And then I expose them to either a low titer or a high titer of my lentiviral vector, which in this case is the human immunodeficiency virus, with gene encoded for either GFP as a control or AS3. And so the first step was to determine whether we got successful transduction, successful overexpression of the AS3 enzyme. So this is PCR once again. We see that for the HAS high, even as early as day 1, we see a statistically significant decrease. And for both titers, these peaks at day 3. The next natural step was to confirm whether, okay, now we have an overexpression of the enzyme, does this actually turn into overexpression of HA itself? So we stain for HA using bioaccumulated HA binding protein. And so again, histological staining areas that are brown are areas of positive staining. So for the control over time, we see diffuse brown staining. This is normal. We know that healthy leaflets are pretty rich in hyaluronic acid. Then when we look at our GFP control, so basically this is a control that tells us whether transduction itself is doing anything to the leaflets. We also see constant diffuse staining throughout the course of the study. In contrast, when you look at the leaflets that were treated with our vector containing AS3, we do appear to see an increased IDS7 in the content of HA. And so we're engineers, so we prefer not to just rely on histology. And so we went on and quantified the amount of HA in these leaflets. And what we saw specifically was that by day 7, particularly for the HAS9 condition, we did see HA enrichment in our leaflets. And the next thing was to confirm that although we're interested in that enrichment, we didn't want to confound that with significant leaflet thickening or any other funky things that could be happening to the microarchitecture of the valve. So this is the same OS penachrome staining that I showed you for the RFH model. And what you see, most of these is relatively boring, which is good for us. So what you see is that the tri-layer structure of the leaflets was conserved. And so really that's the takeaway of these slides. We're not altering the architecture of these leaflets, either across conditions or over time. We again quantified the amount of other proteins in our leaflets, and we saw that the amount of collagen stayed constant over time for all conditions. And for us, more importantly, the amount of sulfated gas, the concentration of sulfated gas was also the same. And this was particularly important because hyaluronic acid is the only gas that is not sulfated. So by quantifying these, we were able to determine that we were able to selectively enrich for these specific glycosylated. We were then curious, very much like in the bottom-up approach, to see what effect this entire approach was having on our cells. And so this is same for alpha SMAD that should be showing up brain, and again, we don't see anything, and that's because the cells are mostly quiescent. So what the control tells us is that culture in these tissue culture plates for 7 days isn't doing anything drastic to the cells. What the GFP control tells us is that the transduction process itself is also not activating the cells. And then the last column tells us that even in HA-enriched leaflets, we don't see the activation. And considering what I just told you for the bottom-up approach, and this is not surprising, we also didn't see that in our other in vitro approach. Finally, we wanted to confirm that this enriched HA was mechanically and biologically functional. So at day 7, I took my leaflets to a manual inventor and tested their compressive strength, and found that the leaflets of HA did have a significant increase in the compressive modulus. And this is consistent with the role that we, in general, think gas play in multiple tissues. So gas are highly hydrated, and because they're highly hydrophilic, and because of that, they're highly hydrated, they attract a lot of water. That means they can help with a lot of shock absorption and compression. We also know, again, borrowing from atherosclerosis, that in atherosclerosis, HA can signal to certain cells to increase the production of antigenic cytokines, including VEGF. So we looked at, we analyzed VEGF production in our leaflets for 7 days. What you're seeing on the left is PCR again, so this is at the gene expression level. And although we saw no differences at the gene expression level, after 7 days, that has high demand HA and rich leaflets, it produce more, secrete more VEGF into the media than the other two results. And so to summarize this approach, I just told you about a gene delivery technique that leads by day 3 to an increase in the overexpression of Cas3, which in turn, by day 7, leads to selective HA enrichment, and this HA is both mechanically and biologically functional. And so going back to the very beginning, I told you a lot about the limitations of existing models, and I told you that we were going to try to address those. And Kristen, I guess, also promised you that I was going to show you improved models of CABD. And so just to recap everything, I just talked about first the IFH swine model, which we believe is superior to other existing large animal models, in that it captures more of the features of the human disease than what is currently available out there. Then we use everything that we learned from this model to create first a bottom-up approach, which included the generation of biosynthetics. And this is something that has already really changed the way we do research in our lab. Almost our entire lab switched to using these healthier biosynthetics. We also think this has, and I personally think this has the potential to change the way the entire health community does research, considering all the other studies that have been done out there have been mostly done on activated or what you could think of as disease states. And then we use these cubics in conjunction with biomaterials platform that we both healthy and disease DCM. And within this material platform, there are no other reports out there of anybody using sulfate as a cell culture substrate. So that is also another thing about our approach. And more importantly, we use this disease DCM in conjunction with oxidized LDL. So we expose ourselves to multiple disease people. I also told you about as well, very novel compound approach to generate leaflets that are selectively enriched in shape. This is, as far as we know, the first time that anybody has reported selective enrichment of an ECM molecule in 3D ex vivo organ culture. And we believe this approach, right, it doesn't have to be limited to that. It could be applied to other ECM molecules in the lab. In theory, it could be applied to anything you want to do expressing these leaflets. And moreover than that, selective enrichment of different ECM proteins is a problem of a lot of pathologies, not just fat pathology. We think that this could be extended to any other organ that could be cultured ex vivo. I also told you that I would then use these models to get a better feel for the sequence of events in CABD. So just to remind you, this is where we started with essentially a very big black box. And this is where the bottom-up model brought us, so it's already a much more complete picture. From the top-down approach, we were also able to determine that GAG enrichment can lead to an increase in the production of angiogenic cytokines. And from experiments that I am not showing you, but that are also included in my thesis, we also know that when we treat activated cells, so these are just cells that were cultured in standard culture, and expose them to oxidized LDL, we also see an increase in angiogenic cytokines, and those angiogenic cytokines are enough to induce endothelial cells thriving. And so this is clearly a demonstration of the amount of knowledge you can gain by using this type of engineering models. And being more specific than that, I also believe that these findings point to a need to study in more detail the role that glycosaminoglycans play in the disease. For example, in a lot of my results, we saw distinct roles for HA versus CS, and we don't exactly understand what specific role each different GAG plays in the lab. As well as other ECM proteins. So Heather, for example, in our lab is doing a lot of work towards studying the role of collagen in CABD. Similarly, we believe this is even more accumulating evidence into lipoproteins and specifically oxidized lipoproteins playing a very important role in bowel disease. And so my 2 cents on what I think we can do better, I think that the community at large should continue to build models like these and to make them even more complex. So for example, in a top-down model, you could imagine you could include inflammatory cells. Or in the bottom-up model, you could include home cultures of endothelial cells, which are the cells that usually line the path. Similarly, I think that as we get more detail from these models, we will probably be able to start to identify better therapeutic targets for a pharmacological intervention. And there is no reason why we couldn't use these models in the drug discovery pipeline, particularly because they reach the importance gap that exists between culturing cells in 2 dimensions and big animal models. And so if you get nothing else from my presentation, I hope that I was able to convince you that these integrated platforms can help us better understand the sequence of events in the pathogenesis of CABD, not just CABD, also other diseases, and also identify potential targets for treatment. Okay, and now my acknowledgements. Now, I don't think it's a secret to anybody that I'm from Colombia. In my culture, we value community and we value people a lot. And a lot of people just go up a thank you slide and say 5 seconds, but there's a lot of you here, and I think it's worth for me to spend a little bit of time with all of you for helping me get through 5 really challenging years. And so let me begin with my committee members, and first of all, obviously Kristen. So I met Kristen, it was kind of like serendipitous. We met, long story short, I was here visiting my ex-boyfriend, and his PI called Kristen, I don't know if you remember this, out of the blue, being like, hey, can you meet Anna in an hour? You mean like this guy didn't know, like, his advisor didn't know if I was a good or a bad candidate. But I met Kristen that day, and I tell people this all the time, but I never told you. I think the day I met you and the rest of the lab is probably the closest I'll ever get to love at first sight. Just after I went to other visits, it's just nobody else mentioned that to our lab. It's been awesome having you as a mentor, as an advisor, as a friend, and it's going to be really sad to leave. But at least we'll always be connected in a way. So, and also thank you to the rest of my community for always supporting me emotionally and intellectually. Daniel and Paul wrote, I think, massively really good recommendation letters for me to get my pre-hospital American Heart Association fellowship. So I really appreciate that. And this was a lot of work, and I could not have done all of this alone. I had a lot of collaborators again, including Daniel and Peter and Jen in the audience from the News Lab. And like I said, the cubic model was only collaboration with people in London and the Netherlands. Grace and Mongiu from the Wisconsin Institute for Art Research were instrumental in the top-down model. Without Mongiu, I would not have been able to literally do any of that work. She was the person who taught me how to do it. We also have been supported by ongoing funding from the NIH, and like I just said, I have a pre-doctoral fellowship from the American Heart Association, and I'm going to do a shameless plug for the AHA. You should all donate to the AHA. One, because cardiovascular research is important in the entire world, and also because the AHA is only one of 2 associations in the United States that promote fellowships for international students. So if you don't mind, you should go. And also to all past and current members of the Masters Lab, I think some of them might be watching. I think Elisa might be watching, so hi. And a special shout out to Tony, because he's actually been the person who developed a lot of the JAMA work in our lab. And without him, I would have spent even more time working on that. So thank you. And also, of course, I said we a lot, and the reason I say we a lot is because I actually didn't perform all of those experiments on my own. I had over time 6 awesome undergrads who helped me. And without all of them, not only would I not have been able to do all of my work, but you guys also make me a better person. And of course, there's everybody in BME. I feel like you guys are the only people that know what it's like to go through a BME program and to have your work depend on things that are also alive and don't want to help you ever. And so thank you guys, and a special shout out to my 2 closest friends, Gwen and Danielle. I think Danielle is watching too, so hi. And without them, I could not have made it this far. And also the Columbia Badgers, I haven't known you guys for really that long, but there's so many of you here. It's been an honor to be your first president, and you guys teach me every time what it means to build a country, both in the US and Colombia. I've also met some people that have really helped me get through this last year, and also through the Columbia Badgers, we met the Colombians in Wisconsin, which actually donated all the Colombians so that we just had. And so that was pretty cool. And also through them, I actually fulfilled my very cheesy lifelong dream of being in a dance group. And so I've been part of a dance group over the last 8 months, and it's actually been a really fun experience. And to all the Colombians and all the Latinos in the room, actually a really cool part of being in grad school with all of you guys is that it's awesome to know so many examples of that show people that Latinos and immigrants can be successful and can contribute to the country. Even when people in society don't think that we can. I think that's pretty easy. And then of course, I promise everybody that I wouldn't cry, but you guys also can't cry. The hardest part I think about living medicine is going to be all living behind all this wall on this side. It's really got me my family away from home. I've been able, they've got me through everything, holidays, bad times, good times, and your best better get used to me, visiting you in Puerto Rico or South America or wherever you go. And then of course, when you're not from here, it just means that your support network is like all over the world. So these are all my girlfriends from back home. I've known most of them for at least 15 years, actually most of them probably 28, probably for 25. I always went to the same school, so it's always been all of us. Yes, it's mostly women. In fact, one of them designed all the jewelry that I'm wearing, so that's pretty cool. And if you ever need an example of any woman can do anything, I'll just introduce you to my friends. They're pretty awesome, I think they're watching. And then of course there's my family. I have a stereotypically really big family. This is actually only maybe like half of my mom's family, and not my dad's family. And so having that many people behind me just makes everything so much easier. And the pictures on the right are actually every time I did one of my cousins either came here or I visited them. So of course that's Chicago. That was this summer, and I visited my cousin and her husband in Spain, and that's my cousin and I really sad in Sweden. It's so cold because I was leaving and I was no longer visiting him. And the other two are my cousin and her husband who now live in Reno, and that's Lake Tahoe, which if you haven't seen, you should go see. It's beautiful. And then of course I want to give a special shout out to my grandma. My grandma didn't even graduate high school, but her husband abandoned her with 5 kids when my dad was only 7. And she got my dad and I did not even because she was able to do that, and my dad was able to help me. So this is not as much hers as it is mine. And then of course, there's my little family, and there's my little sister, Joe. She's not little, she's really big. I have those pictures up though because I think we're cute, even though I think we're not, but also to show you guys that. So in the picture with my dad, she's 4 and I am 6. Like, what 4-year-old is that big? This is not normal. And so my sister, not only is she taller than me, but she's also wiser and a way better person than I am. And I'm very grateful to have her in my life. And then of course there's my parents who provided all of the food that we just ate. So one, thank you. And also, Peace and Fair Pieces is dedicated to them. I think most of the people in the audience know this, but both of my parents are doctors, had PhDs, they're both professors. And so that was good and bad, because it essentially meant that I had 30 Fs. And so, you know, you can take that, to be good at that, to be bad. Sometimes, like in my 3rd year, Kristen always tested it. So she was never like, what are you doing? You're not working hard enough. I'm like, oh, don't worry. So you have to get into it. They tell you that you're not working hard. And, but also they were the aces under the sleeve. Actually, a lot of people in the room have gotten indirect advice from my parents. When professors would be pretending that these, but sometimes when students don't know what to do, we ask my parents and then they give us advice on what to do. And so my parents sacrificed a lot to get us to where we're at. I think they pretty much gave away at least 60% of their salary to keep us in a bilingual school, and that's the reason I use English for a while. And then also we made a huge sacrifice to pay crazy, absurdly expensive out-of-state tuition at the University of Texas. And I don't think that we got either of those things that we do here today. And so for that, thank you. And now you guys will go for me. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, I'm going to switch to Spanish in just a few minutes. A todos los que me están viendo, los quiero mucho. Gracias y gracias por su tiempo. And with that, you guys have any questions? Yeah.
So, Michael, in my hand, said you study at Harvard and speculate how does relate people what would you suggest
Yeah, so like I think some of it is oxidized LDL, but also something I didn't talk at all about is that, so like I said, makes are usually quiescent, right? And so I think what happens is something else activates the cells first something that we didn't capture in our model fully, and then that's how they start producing those new ligands. But I also didn't talk, so there's the valve, but the valve on both surfaces is lined by valvular and endothelial cells, and those are not present at all in our model. But these cells prevent random things from getting inside and signaling into the things, right? So I actually think that the first thing that must happen is dysfunction in those cells. And then once those cells become leaky, other things can enter the valve. And what those other things might be, I don't know if it is maybe just oxidized LDL, but then activates the cells and they start producing gas. Or something, yeah, some other molecule. We also know that transformative factor beta can also drive big activation. So that would be maybe another potential side effect. Yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah. For those who don't know, that's an inside joke. Yeah, so you mean like, for example, doing cyclic stretching or something like that. Yeah, so that's something that we have explored before in our lab. It's something that, yeah, I think you're right. I think that, at least in the case of gas, yeah, I don't know, you might be right. We do have a bioreactor that can provide cyclic stretching in our lab, and it is something that in our lab we have explored. We felt like we first had to build it from the ground up. To be able to get any information, but I do think you might see a difference, especially if you start getting into, for example, like 10% strain is physiological, but like 15% ground fault is super physiological. So it would be interesting to see what happens if you got into those levels, and maybe that's something somebody else would explore. Yeah.
So the way you form your valve, as you go on, have you done the verification whether or not that I assume you take off.
Right, so I don't think I haven't analyzed the surfaces. You should talk to Latonia about this, because she's suffered a lot with this method to synthesize other types of films. From what I can tell, at least for these films, it doesn't seem to lead to anything that at least I can perceive as far as how the cells are organized under the microscope. Because of a relatively tight timeline, most of this data was actually collected in 2016. No, I haven't done like full characterization, the topography of it, but it is an issue. And I imagine moving forward, this is technically still a 2D system, so it would be nice to see if you saw the same, or it would be interesting to see if you saw the same phenomena, say if you moved to a 3D where the cells were encapsulated inside instead. Andrew? Yeah. What is there a reason why? Is there a reason why you say shape for the top down? So the thing is, right, I presented those sequentially, but in reality, in the lab, they were performed at the same time. So I didn't know that we were going to get a preferential retention in HA versus CS. And the reason why we chose HA is because we have previous work from our lab shows that when, say, you deplete leaflets of HA, you see an increase in mineralization. And so, and like I said, HA is the most studied in the lab community. So we started with HA partially because of that. Also because, as I was saying before, HA is the only GAC that's not sulfated. So maybe if we had started with CS, it would have gotten really messy because there's a lot more enzymes involved in the synthesis of CS. But actually, so I'm not leaving that right away. And part of what we've talked about is generating FID.CS converting sulfate synthase vectors so that we can ask exactly that question, since CS seems to be the most interesting of